Hi everyone, welcome to another YuGiJoe video. I'm Joe and I took Danger Orcust with YAZI in it to the UK National Championship 2019 and I ended as probably the lowest X-3 from the event. So I'll discuss the rounds and do all the shoutouts and stuff a little bit later, but let's start off by going through the deck. So I played an Orcust Danger list, so obviously I had to play Triple Horror. I only played 2 Nightmare. I've seen a few lists playing 3. I think 2's necessary and I didn't want to play any more bricks given that I'm already playing quite a lot of bricks in my deck. 1 Symbol Skeleton, you don't need a second one if you're playing the wand, so I played the wand as well. This allows you to extend in positions where the second one on the list wouldn't, and it allows you to recover in the same way that this would allow you to recover anyway. For the rest of the Orcust lineup, just the 1 Beowulf and the 1 Crescendo. I don't think you need anything else apart from this. I was testing double Crescendo for a while, and although it allows you to make your first turn boards a little bit better, you'd rather just have Terraformings to see the Babel anyway, because it does exactly the same job. So that's the Orcust lineup. Pretty minimal. I don't think I'd ever make it any bigger. For Phantom Knights, 1 Cloak, 1 Boots, double Fog Blade. I could only find 1 common. I actually wanted to play the lowest rarity version of this deck possible. So these are all common. This is an Ultra, unfortunately. I tried to get a common but couldn't get one in time. And then 1 Shape Brigandine. I could only find a gold secret, so for some reason I couldn't find a common. So if you have commons, hook me up. I'd much rather play the cheapest version of this deck because it's less likely to warp, so it's less likely to lead to game losses. Played the Trickstar engine of 1 Candina, 1 Corobane, triple light stage. This is, following the event, this is definitely the most impactful normal summon engine that you have. Candina does so much. It's also one of the ones where you get hurt a lot by this card being hit by a hand trap. But essentially it does the same job as the connector package, except this has extra removal, which is nice. This provides you with outs to border, which is really, really nice. And you can just use this as an extender that you play before you actually start your combo off anyway, so that was really good. There were quite a few times where I actually drew the Corobane or drew the Candina and drew a light stage, so it makes you kind of want to cut it down to 2, but I don't think I'd ever really change it. I think this lineup is just really, really solid as it is. You see it enough. For the Neospace package, obviously triple connector, 1 Dolphin. This was absolutely the worst normal summon of the event. Even though it gives you access to a removal for a hand trap, the only hand traps you really care about are ones where it doesn't matter. So Impermanence and Lancia can both be played or can both be played around this anyway. And then all of the hand traps where it's relevant, and they're just going to hit the connector anyway, so you have to have another play, otherwise you just fold. So I think this was probably the worst normal summon engine of it. I might try with Triple Dolphin and no connector and just see how that goes, but I don't think at the moment I want to keep the connector package in for it if I kept playing the deck. Dangers, Triple Nessie, Triple Jackalope and Double Tsuchinoko. I've seen a lot of commentary on arguments for Triple Nessie and 1 of each. With this version of the build, I was trying to turbo out the Redoer turn 1. So Jackalope is absolutely the best for that. You only want to be discarding once throughout your combo, so if you discard this, then you get the Chupacabra. So got that as well. The Nessie, the Jackalope Tsuchinoko is okay, but it doesn't allow you to make the redo play, so it's literally just to carry on playing through hand traps, at which point you kind of need to have seen the second Nightmare anyway, so it's not super relevant. I don't know if I'll keep these guys in. This is actually really, really awkward to have. It's not strong enough to beat over most problem cards, and it doesn't allow you to extend enough. Obviously it's still good with the Destrudo package, but apart from that, this wasn't super relevant. This is necessary as a brick, unfortunately, so you have to play it. And Nessie's just good in general, it's got good stats, and it searches for all of your danger package anyway, so definitely keep playing that at 3, and maybe cut the Tsuchinokos just maybe out of the deck entirely. I'm not sure about that yet. Then a triple Destrudo and 1 Mermaid. I don't think I saw any profiles of people playing this. Obviously, if I'm going to be playing a deck, I'm going to be playing YAZI. So you have to play the mana for that. And Destrudo is the extender that you always need when you get hand trapped, because you can play it with any of your cards to keep playing. Unfortunately, it's not quite as good as some of the dangers because you can't just normal summon it. But the fact that you can make a YAZI off it and then you can do the YAZI combo and then the full Orcust combo is really insane, so definitely worth playing this guy. Even if it costs half your life points, that's kind of irrelevant when it wins you the game regardless. For hand traps, I played triple Ash and triple Impermanence. These were the most high impact hand traps that I wanted to play. I absolutely felt like I had to play Impermanence because it's applicable in so many scenarios and it doesn't lose to Connector or Call By, which makes it better than the majority of hand traps currently in existence. Ash was just played because it was super generic. Honestly, this could have been switched for like Veiler or a few other things and it would have been just as impactful. But Impermanence was really, really strong. You can hit like Inspector borders and stuff. So definitely worth playing. You do have the problem where you could have used this and then be trying to do the Shade Brigandine play, but that doesn't really ever come up in a situation where it's relevant. You've either gone first and you've done the Shade Brigandine play, in which case this wasn't used, or you've used this and you're not going to be searching for Shade Brigandine anyway, you just search for like the Fogblade and that allows you to extend regardless. So I don't think there's ever a problem with these two cards conflicting. Just 6 hand traps. I'm really tempted to play more, but I have so many extenders in this deck that I didn't feel like it was relevant. Triple Caught by the Grave because you have to not lose to your opponent's hand traps. This was vaguely relevant. I think I caught by 2 or 3 things throughout the event. I didn't actually draw it very much, but when I did draw it, it was relevant against hand traps. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. It's okay in the mirror match. It's quite good in my mirror match in round 3, I think it was. But apart from that, it's not the best card in the deck. I genuinely might just cut this and play more hand traps because you lose to 2 hand traps regardless of playing this, and you lose to Impermanence regardless of playing this. So maybe it's better to change the way the deck functions a little bit and actually cut that out. And then left over, we got double terraforming to search the Babel and search the light stage because that's how you start loads of your plays anyway. Then I played 2 Twin Twisters. I didn't want to play a third one because I didn't want to bring the deck count up anymore. If I'm cutting the connector package, I'd probably put the third one of these in. It's just applicable where it is. And Foolish Burial. This card is way better than playing the third Twisters because it's a starter card, it's an extender card, it allows you to do your YAZI play, which people aren't playing around because people, I don't know, YAZI's not a super popular card because it makes your extra deck very tight. So Foolish, people aren't really playing around the fact that you can send Destrudo and just combo through their entire board with that. So that's the main deck, 50 cards. Obviously there are a few things I would change, cut the connector package, change up the hand trap lineup a little bit. But all in all, it was very, very good. I didn't actually brick, I think I bricked once throughout 10 rounds, which was kind of crazy. In most of those rounds, I was playing 3 games as well. There weren't very many 2-0s, so that was just me rather than the deck. And the deck just functions very, very well for what it does. So 50 card main. For the extra deck, obviously playing all the parry tokens, because you have to summon 4 tokens for your Mare, and sometimes you just need a 5th one for your opponent. Also for the side deck, these are super relevant. It's always nice to stick an inflatable dinosaur onto the field. Then had to play the one YAZI. So managed to hook myself up with an ulti first edge just before the event, which was very, very lucky. Because otherwise I know people would be criticizing me for hyping up this card and then just not playing the max rarity one, but finally got it. I actually have every rarity in addition to this card now, so I should probably get rid of some of those. For the Link monsters, 1 Linkuriboh because you have to play it with the YAZI, 1 Mermaid. I didn't ever need the second one of these. I know quite a few people who did need the second one, so if I had space, I'd try and fit it in. But I imagined that because they're just trying to Orcust combo in the following turns, whereas I'm trying to YAZI combo, then it's not really relevant for my deck. 1 Cerberus and 1 Phoenix. This probably could have been a Unicorn, but you actually want this guy for the YAZI combo anyway, so I don't think you can really change that. Triple Galatea is obligatory, and then the 1 Longiasu came up a couple of times. It was very relevant in round 10. Apart from that, I don't think I ever really needed it. You could probably just play something else instead. So maybe I'll free up some space, fit in the unicorn or something for this. And then for the combo, you need the Badish. To play around Lancia, I was playing Underclock Taker. It probably should have been a Space Insulator because of something on my side deck, which I hadn't really thought about very much because I didn't think it would ever come up, but it did. So yeah, play a Space Insulator instead of this, and then Borzod. You actually have to play a Link 4, because there will be situations where you're just trying to do the YAZI combo and then kill someone that turn, so you have to play Borzod or you have to play Borreload or something to just win the game from there. Of course, you can just go into the full like, Galatea combo. But this was really relevant. This came up quite a few times and stole a few games with it. Then for the rest of the Orcus, I played 2 Dingisu. Shoutouts to Joel Harris and the guys at Tier 0 Games for hooking me up with the second one. So the night before the event, I found out that I actually didn't have the second one. Someone was going to be lending me one, and then they hadn't brought it with them, so I needed a second copy. I put a post up on a Facebook group, and then within like an hour, people were just contacting me and telling me that they could lend me one. It was like really amazing to see the community respond so quickly and efficiently to something like that. So that was a really amazing part of the event. And then final card is Time Thief Redoer. I hard made this once and mostly just made it in the combo. This card is really insane. It allows you to just deal with so many things that the rest of the deck doesn't do. So that's the extra deck. Not much more to say on that. The YAZI was very, very strong all event. And otherwise, obviously, the Orcus combo is kind of busted because you just put so many cards on the field and you just loop your Dingisu over and over again and win from there. For the side deck, I tried to pick sort of very high impact cards for this. So had to play the triple Lancia, obviously. The fact that you can win a mirror match or win the Thunder matchup is really, really strong. I didn't actually play any Thunder, I think, at this event. And then I didn't want to lose to Dweller, so I played 5 outs for Dweller, which was a double DD Crow. It could have been no material or something else, but this seemed like the biggest impact card. It's so, like, this essentially gives you 5 copies of Lancia in the mirror, because very few people are able to discard a Nightmare before they do their combo, so this essentially does the same job. And then I also played triple Gamma and 1 Driver. This engine was really strong, however I do wish I had the Space Insulator so I could turn this into something good. But you can wait for your opponent to make the Dweller, and then Gamma the Dweller, and then you have 2 materials, so you can do the full Orcus combo through the Dweller there, which is crazy. In the mirror match, your opponent can't call by you on this, so you can beat the hand trap, beat their play like that without having to worry about a call by on the hand trap. So you can essentially have 8 copies of Lancia almost in the mirror to just win out there. So this was really, really good. Definitely gonna keep playing it in the future. I don't think there can be anything said against the Gamma engine at the moment, apart from the fact that you have to run the 1 Driver. It's very, very high impact and definitely worth playing in the future. For the spells, 1 Mystic Mine. The only time I actually sided this in and put it onto the board, my opponent had access to a Foxy, so it was gone anyway. But the theory behind this is very solid. Your opponent sets up a full Thunderboard, you play this, and they either have to negate it, or they have to let you play into their board and potentially OTK them, because he never put as many monsters onto the field as them. It's also really good in the mirror match and against a few other decks where, you know, potentially they're trying to play around things. Like if people are trying to play around the Gamma on the Dweller, you put this on board and then they can't use the Dweller in the first place. So you just make a really big monster, because loads of your extra deck cards are really big, and just attack over them from there. 1 Black Garden. This card came up in a kind of silly situation, which I'll mention when I go over the rounds, but in theory it's very, very strong. In practice, I never saw it in my Mine matchup, but I did see it in a few other situations, and to go alongside this is the 1 Trusbana, because you're attempting to just burn people out of the game. You have 3 copies of this post-siding, so Field Spell should be really good because you have played double Terraforming, so 3 copies should be very strong. And then if you just make Trusbana, then you can win in time. That's kind of the win con of the deck in time. I didn't play the Black Ship engine because it seemed like there was too much opportunity for things to go wrong. If you get hand trapped on the like Ibly play, then you just lose from there. And then the traps left over, so 2 Unending Nightmare. This card should have been really good, but I misplayed the my matchup and didn't make a Dengirsu when I had this live, so my opponent had their own unending nightmare and just wrecked it. If this had been Typhoon, I think I would have been in a much better position anyway. So it really depends on how you play and what position you're in, I think. And then the final card was Imperial Order. I just wanted another auto win in the Striker matchup. But yeah, that's it for the side deck. That's it for the list. And I'll just take you guys through the rounds. Okay, so if you want more information about the overall Nats experience, then I'm going to be uploading a vlog video. It may well be up already by the time you watch this. If it is, there'll be a card. If it's not, then it's on the way. But let's go through the rounds that I played then. So it's a 10-round event for UK Nats. I ended up going X-3, so round 1 was my first loss against Storm. His first national event. Game 1, I think I just opened up the combo with the Destrudo and then won from there. He was playing Salamangreat, and then in Game 2, I believe he hand-trapped me, or he set up a board I couldn't push through, and in Game 3 I opened up a way into Candina, and then put the Candina and the Corabane on board, pushed for some damage, and I was like, oh, this is a good position, but ultimately I lose if he starts actually playing the game or plays Fusion of Fire, so I figured I had to commit to something, so I started doing the combo and then obviously got hit by the hand traps. And I'm pretty sure in one of the games I put a Mystic Mine on board, and he had a Foxy to answer it anyway. So unfortunately, lost that one 1-2. Puts me on a pretty bad opening position, really, because you don't want to be starting off the event with a loss, because it means that you're facing against, potentially slightly less successful opponents, and it makes the rest of the tournament a little bit of a fight uphill. But round 2 went up against Keenan. He was playing True Draco. Game 1, he managed to set up an Erupt, so even though I had my board going, he was still able to push through, and he won from there, because Erupt is just really good, there's not a lot you can do from it. Game 2, I managed to just outplay, and then in Game 3, I feel like the True Draco matchup is sort of poorly rated. You're often told that it's a very difficult matchup for Orcust and for Salamangreat actually as well. But I don't think it's that difficult for Orcust if you're structuring your plays in a sort of more conservative way, or in a way that allows you to have the biggest impact against the True Draco spells and traps, because that's where they really hit you. Round 3 against Callum, he was playing Subterra. This was probably one of the quickest matches of the event. Really nice guy, but I just opened up too much stuff to beat him every time. So I think he went first in both games, and I just opened up enough either to push through the board or to just I just always ended up with a really strong board after my turn 1, which he wasn't able to come back through, even though he started off the match. Round 4 against Jack, very nice guy, eating a burger during the round, why not? So he was playing Trains. Game 1 I went first, I believe. I set up an okay board. I don't think I had the negate live, and I got hit by I think he might have actually interrupted me, I'm not sure. Maybe he just kaiju me. Anyway, there was definitely a load of kaijus and then an OTK with the train. And then in game 2, I made the very big mistake of trying to read the Liber twice and failing. I didn't realize that he would get multiple attacks with it. So I made him go first. I had a Gamma, and I was like, okay, as soon as he activates the Super Door effect to protect himself, I'll just Gamma him. But he didn't activate it before I had to commit monsters onto the board. It's actually really hard not to commit monsters when you're playing this deck. So my Gamma was basically dead, and then he was able to set up a Liber and attack through my moderate board. It wasn't terrible, it just wasn't great. And for some reason, I just didn't read the Liber, and I should have just crescendoed it, and that would have probably made me win game 2. But I didn't do that, so on to round 5 with 2 losses. So against Josh, he was playing a BA version of Orcust. I really like the build. The fact that you can recycle with the Seer and the Dante before you make your plays is very, very cool. It just gives you more card advantage. The only unfortunate thing is you have to play more BA cards, which obviously don't really extend very well. So this was a very grindy 2-0 game. Game 1, he got me down to 1700. I then halved that with a Destrudo to go to 850 and was able to kill him through there. And then game 2, he set up with a Beatrice. I think I hand trapped him to stop him from getting the Mermaid off. and then I was just able to push through the board and win out from there. Okay, so round 6 I played against Cameron, who was playing Mystic Mine. And this wasn't something I was super prepared for. To be honest, I was basing my judgment on the previous year's Nats, where I only faced against one kind of stun deck, which was Altergeist. Everything else was kind of just like Meta, the Trickstar Striker deck, and a few other things. So really I was gearing myself towards expecting a lot of Salamangreat, a lot of Orcust, and maybe a few other things, which unfortunately isn't how it turned out. So, did go up against Mystic Mine. My side deck was not prepared for this. I only played the 2 Unending Nightmare in the side, the 1 Imperial Order, and I guess the Black Garden was designed to help out a lot. Unfortunately, I never saw it. But, game 1, I believe he won the die roll, opened up too much stuff. I kept drawing monsters, I had no way of dealing with it, so he easily took that one. Game 2, I opened the Imperial Order, which is the auto win. So, you know, we're each playing Floodgates that essentially win the match there. So I won that one. And then in game 3, he gets to go first, and unfortunately he saw his Unending Nightmare before I saw mine. Now, technically you can play around this. So if you can make yourself a Dingirsu, then you can get your Unending Nightmare live, and your opponent won't be able to deal with it. Now, unfortunately, I did not realize this, and even if I had realized this, he had a set Solemn Strike. Maybe he wouldn't have had a second one if I had made a second one, but ultimately I lost because I should have made a Dingirsu earlier, and then had a live Unending Nightmare. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. He actually blew away a lot of my spell and trap removal with his own spell and trap removal because he had heavy Storm Dusters as well as Unending Nightmare, and I think he resolved Dusters against me twice, which made it virtually impossible to play in that situation. So that's just strong deck building right there. So unfortunately, lost round 6, and I've accumulated my 3 losses before even reaching round 7. I think I was in a similar position in the previous year, except I'd won round 1, which was massively impactful for my tournament record, whereas here I'd lost round 1, which is a very unfortunate position to be in. So moving into round 7, you can actually check out a feature match between Cameron, who was my round 6 opponent, and Matt Harris, who's playing the Salamangreat Orcust list. That's on the YuGiJoe TCG EU Twitch. I'm potentially going to go up on their YouTube channel. I haven't actually checked that out yet, so maybe have a look into that. But during round 7, they played each other, and I played against Terrence, who was playing a true Draco. So once again, unfavored matchup. Game 1 I actually lost because I made the silly mistake of attempting to perform my YAZI combo when I'd already used one of the Orcust effects, so I wasn't able to summon a Mare, and totally screwed that up, really. I should have just done the usual Orcust combo because I had 2 monsters on board, I had a discard, and I was in a very good position. I could have just done that and won game 1, but I didn't. I lost game 1. But then in games 2 and 3, I believe I didn't make any mistakes. And the Black Garden that I decided in for time, because I figured if we do get close to time, I can trigger a Trisbana and win from there. You know, you banished a lot of back row against Draco. Actually came in really good because Terrence sided in the lose 1 turn, which even if it doesn't put your monsters into defense position, does stop their effects from going off, which meant I wasn't able to really push there. But every time he attempted to make a summon, because he was unable to sort of get rid of Draco spells and get rid of the Black Garden, he kept giving me defense position tokens, which made it impossible for him to kill me. So I managed to win by just being slightly ahead on life. So then we complete day 1, and we move on to day 2. So round 8, I'm up against Sam. Really nice guy, playing Orcust. Basically the mirror match, except I'm playing YAZI. I don't believe he was playing it. I think I lost game 1 because he set up his full board. I just watched him do it, and I checked my hand, and I probably could have pushed through it if I really tried, but I figured it would be better to just side into a better position and take the loss in game 1. So I did that. I'm pretty sure I think we may have Lanciered each other in this matchup. I'm not entirely sure, but in game 3, I think I drew. He set up a full board, and I drew everything to beat it. I drew away into YAZI, and YAZI is so good against the Orcust board because it can't be stopped by any of the Fog Blades. So you just have free removal, and you can set yourself into a really good position. I actually missed game because he had because I'd Lanciered him. He had his cloak in the grave, so he was able to summon that back into defense. I didn't realize. I thought it was just going to summon back the Bardiche, in which case I had a guaranteed OTK on board. But he summoned that back into defense, and then he was just top decking a card, so he was already in a poor position, and he wasn't able to recover from there. So I won that one 2-1. Very kind of awkward thing. We were both playing black sleeves, and between rounds, somehow one of my Harp Horrors had ended up in his deck. So somehow I managed to discover this and retrieve it before it became an issue. But that was a very scary few minutes where I'd just gone like, oh, one of my Harp Horrors is missing. It's not on the floor. I can't see it anywhere. I don't know where it's gone. Yeah, so always be careful when you're playing against an opponent who's playing the mirror match and they happen to have the same color sleeves as you. Maybe play some more unusual colored sleeves and you can try and avoid that situation. Okay, so round 9. So basically, at this point, I'm X3, and I figure it might be possible to make top cut. It really depends on how everyone else's games go, and when everyone else accumulated their losses, what their opponents did. But I'm moving into round 9 going, oh, I have to win out. I absolutely have to win out in order to get anything, in order to even get a prize, get like the mat. And I was totally committed to it, getting a mat, because I was like, I believe I can get it this year. You know, I got it last year. I made it into top 64 last year. I definitely at least won a mat from this year. So I go into round 9, and I get paired up against Zeki Shah, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be an absolute loss. Unless he's playing Pendulum, which the Orcust matchup is actually really good, I think. I'm going to really struggle because Zeki's a phenomenal player, let's be honest. He's done really well at loads of events before. So we sit down, we do the die roll. I'm pretty sure he wins the die roll, and I'm like, okay, I've definitely lost this. And then we get a repair. So thankfully I didn't have to go up against him, having lost a die roll. Instead, I went up against Matt, who was playing Pendulum. It turns out Zeki was actually playing Salamangreat, and you can check out his list on the Tier 0 Games channel. But instead, I was paired up against Matt, playing Pendulum. I think I won the die roll here. Set up a strong board, and he just wasn't able to play through it. I managed to Dolphin him with a Korobin on board, so I could pull, I think, a Servant out of his hand, and I just knew exactly what he was playing. And I think in the Pendulum matchup, he would rather have the Babel than the Crescendo. I'm not entirely sure, so I think I set up the Babel there. But I think that's generally the better option. The fact that you can remove 2 instead of just banishing 1 is very, very strong. So game 1 was a relatively quick win. I think it was just 2 turns or something. And then game 2, it was pretty quick as well. I gammaed his Electromite. Gamma was so good at this event, like really good. Every time I resolved Gamma, it was amazing. And this was just one great example. Resolved the Gamma, and then I believe I OTK'd him, or my board was just so strong that he couldn't push through it. And then we go into the final round, round 10, against Lloyd playing Salamangreat. Whenever you face this matchup, you have to worry a little bit, because Salamangreat does have a very good Orcust matchup, thanks to all of the hand traps and the very sort of consistent engine. I believe he went first. I can't remember if he set up a Dweller immediately or not. This was the longest, grindiest game of the event. We actually only played a single game, and I do think I won properly. I don't think I won in time. Like we were about 2 or 3 minutes away, so we were feeling the pressure. Well, I spoke to him about it afterwards. He believes that he may have made a misplay fairly early on. I think there's a possibility for it, but I think I managed to get my board into such a good position that if he hadn't taken the risk, then he would have lost anyway. So I think it was right of him to make the play that he did and attempt to push through my board. But essentially it was just he could use their resources the most efficiently. His grave was massive by the end of it. He had so much access, and I was basically just trying to stop him from resummoning everything. He played the Foxer as well, which was pretty interesting because it's actually quite good in this matchup. But yeah, we got to a point when it was like he was on 5,900, I was on 5,500 or something. He was trying to make the push so that he could guarantee getting the game. He like summoned a Ningirsu or something, but my board was just slightly better. My recursion was slightly better at that point, so I was able to bring back a Ningirsu, and then the next turn just attack through and finish him off. So thankfully not winning due to time mechanics, but definitely winning due to the pressure of time. Ending X3 and finishing, I think, in 86th place, which may well have been the lowest of all of the X3s, which is a bit unfortunate. You know, I can definitely attribute 2 of my losses at least to my own mistakes and not the deck. You know, the deck performed extremely well. I never bricked. I got to summon YAZI a lot. There was one time when I missed the second boots, in the mirror match, but then it wasn't relevant because I won out anyway because I had better cards that I was getting myself into. So I don't think it's a problem playing the one-on-one. I actually think it gives you a great ability to build a deck slightly differently. Obviously, 50 cards is a bit of a problem. Everyone knew that I was playing Orcust when I sat down, so potentially you'd have to find a way to cut it down. The connector was definitely, as I mentioned, the least impactful of the normal summons, but the Trickstar engine was very, very strong throughout. The fact that you can also have 2 terraformings to get to your Babel if you want to set up the double board with the Babel and Crescendo is very, very good. And the fact that you can side in like 1 Black Garden or 1 Mystic Mine and be more likely to see it was also very, very strong. So let's move on to the shoutouts. Just to mention, there's no set siding strategy for this event. My side deck was a total shambles, to be honest. I put it together way too quickly, and I wasn't really thinking about how I wanted to structure the deck post-siding. But ultimately, that didn't really matter too much, apart from in the Mystic Mine matchup. So I definitely changed it up a little bit, put some more spell and trap removal into the side. Or maybe into the main, I don't know, I'm not really sure about that just yet. So shoutouts go to my girlfriend for supporting me, checking in between rounds and recording the profile, the video section of that as well. Thank you so much. To everyone from the Oxford TCG Society, all the people who went with me, so that's Ryan, Ollie, John, Jason, Adam, Giles, and Terry. Shoutouts to Joel Harris and the guys at Tier Zero Games for lending me the second Dingisu. There was actually an incredible amount of support because the night before, I was missing one before the event, and the ability of the community to respond and provide support inside of about an hour was really ridiculous, and that was really, really nice of them. Also, shoutouts to Zavi and the guys at Southern YuGiJoe. Lovely people, and they share some really great insights. All of my opponents for providing genuinely competitive and enjoyable games. Shoutouts also to Billy and Cormac, our new Irish national champion, for hanging out with me in the recording area and between rounds to keep me sane, especially on the Sunday when I was just basically recording profiles all day and just needed something to keep me alive. Shoutouts also to everyone who submitted their deck profiles for supporting the channel. You guys are all awesome. It's great to see all of your lists and have all of the information about how you structured each of your decks and what strategies allowed you to go so far. And also everyone who I haven't mentioned that's already in the YuGiJoe chat for always giving really great discussions when we're not just throwing around random information. So thanks very much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any comments on the deck or is there anything else you want to know. Just put a comment in the section at the bottom. There'll be a link for the full list as a Dueling Book deck profile or download link in the description if you want to check that out. And I'll see you guys in the next video.